A lot of people underestimate the amount of time and effort and money it takes to skydive, to get proficient at skydiving.
How many years have you been jumping?
Civilian side, I've been jumping for about 6 years now. We got our license, Amy and I, my wife, right when COVID hit. But before that, I was jumping static line in the military for 5 years and 17 weeks. So I guess about a little over 10 years now.
How many jumps did you have in the military?
About 45 static line jumps, just because you didn't have to jump as much. But you only had to jump about once every 90 days to stay current. And you got jump pay, actually. You got $150 extra per month for being on jump status. But it was a different kind of jumping than we're used to here, because there's like a cable in the plane, and you would have this line that was hooked to your parachute. You'd hook up to that cable inside the plane, and whenever you jumped out of the door, that static line would pull your parachute for you. So we only jumped from 800 feet AGL for static line. That's when we exited the plane. Whereas now in civilian side, we're used to going up to 10, 11,000 feet. So
how many jumps have you got in total?
Civilian side, I've got about 670 jumps. The last 70 of those are probably tandems.
What inspired you to be a skydiver a few years ago?
I missed it. In the military, the Army can find a way to make anything not fun. And so whenever me and my friends, we all got out of the Army and we went back to our separate walks of life, and I just started missing jumping out of airplanes. And so initially I went up to Cushing and took a first jump course there. Then Amy came here and I moved over here and haven't left since. And I'm really glad I did.
Did you have fears?
Oh, man. So my first plane ride was to Fort Benning, Georgia, ever. And my second plane ride, I was jumping out. And so, yeah, at the time I was 18 years old. Peer pressure pushed me out of the plane that time, because there's guys that are jumping before you and jumping after you. And so you're just in the middle of the line. And yeah, I was shaking like a leaf whenever it came time to do our first jump. Yeah, I'd say those first 5-10 jumps, they scared me just for the obvious reasons. It was unfamiliar. I wasn't used to it. Then I became a team leader. I went to Ranger school. Once you get that Ranger tab, you can usually be a team leader. You know, you can move up to bigger things. After that, I was still scared, but I put on an acting game. You know, I'd be cool on the surface, because the guys in my team, like, I couldn't very well let them see that I was crapping my pants when it came time to jump. So I had to pretend, as it were. But then as time went on and you got used to it, it got better. It's like anything else. Even if you're scared, just do it scared. It's not that bad.
Have you ever had a frightening moment in the sky?
One time we were up in Montana at the Lost Prairie Boogie. You're jumping with about 23, 24 other jumpers. It's a really big plane. So there's a lot of canopies in the sky. And you try and break off and get your own real estate and just try and get by yourself. So you can't deploy your parachute by yourself. And mine just happened to open off heading a little bit, and I was headed right for a guy. You know, they tell you want to reach back and pull a rear right riser to avoid it, but it was just one of those, everything was happening really fast, so it wouldn't have done anything. I pulled both my rear risers to kind of lift myself up, and I had to lift my feet up, and if I hadn't have lifted my feet up, it would have hit his canopy. That was the closest I ever came to a canopy collision. I've had a few other things like tension knots on an old canopy of mine, and like spinning line twists that I was about to do my emergency procedures, but they resolve themselves. They fix themselves. And so even then, it's kind of one of those, the more that you can train your emergency procedures on the ground, I wasn't really too worried up there, because it's two handles, pull them in the right order. So I always wonder how apathetic I am about it, but it was fine. I was about to do them, but it just didn't need to.
How many times have you had to use your reserve?
0. I haven't had to cut away yet, but
awesome.
My time's coming. But when it happens, man. I'm not too worried about it. You know what I mean? Amy, my wife, she's an overachiever. She's done it 3 times already. But I think it's good to go through your emergency procedures, just because it gives you more confidence that you can actually do it when the time comes. I always kind of feel like a little bit of an imposter when I'm telling students like, yeah, you just do this, knowing that all I've ever done is practice and I've never really done it myself. But yeah, I'm sure it'll be all right when the time comes.
After so many years of skydiving and so many jumps, do you feel nervous or scared right now before each jump?
I always feel a little bit nervous, kind of out of obligation, as weird as that sounds, like, because I do subscribe to the complacency is the killer in our sport. If you just go up in the air and you're just not checking your gear or you're not keeping an eye on everyone's gear, my eyes are always darting around and like making sure everybody's gear is good in the plane. It's kind of a product of like being an instructor and students are climbing out, watching their handles, and you're always just looking after them, making sure. That's kind of my nervous now. You don't want to be a scared skydiver, but you do want to be an appropriately safe skydiver. That's kind of the nervous that I get now. Not even more so for myself, but just for everything going on.
What's your overall perspective on fear? Do you think it's something negative or something can be useful?
Oh, dude, I love fear. I don't know if you can curse on this. Look at all the winning teams throughout history, right? Like, they never knew if they could do it. There's just so many obstacles, so many doubts in the way. These people, they just see it and they face it head on. And even more so than the winners, I love the losers, dude. There's so much you can learn from the losers and like all the fears and doubts and things that they picked up along the way. A good amount of healthy fear, not like crippling, paralyzing fear that is obviously detrimental to you, but a good amount of like healthy fear, that's when you can rise to the occasion and realize that you're capable of more than you thought. A lot of people underestimate the amount of time and effort and money it takes to skydive, to get proficient at skydiving. Just the entire world that they're stepping into that they don't realize. Kind of back on the subject of fear, we went to Muskogee and took a canopy course around like 50, 60 jumps. And so by that time, I'd been a licensed skydiver. I had 50 jumps. I knew what I was doing. That's sarcasm. But we were doing a canopy course. And so we were pulling kind of high. And for the first time, I remember looking down and looking around and being like, oh, crap, dude, we're actually really high up right now. Like I was scared. But, what are you going to do at that point? Because most people say, like on a tandem, they'll be scared and then the door will open up and you'll go out to the door and they'll be scared then. And then after you leave, they're like, well, can't go back in the plane. Like, nothing else I can do now. And so they kind of just move through their natural order of things. And it's always fun to watch. Tandems are fun. They're fun in a different way.